All right, guys, this is the last one for me for today. I'm YouTubed out. So much YouTube, but you got to do what you got to do. New to YouTube too. Like this is for me making all these YouTube videos. We really appreciate the likes and subscribes. You guys are honing into this conversation. If you don't recognize me yet, my name's Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto. So we help Canadians, businesses, organizations, even transit systems, municipalities adopt AI because we're literally the last ones amongst G7 nations to do it. So our team's trying our best to make sure Canadians, get on the AI train. But at the same time, we have to pay special attention to what's going on with the labor market. Just did a couple of videos of what's going on in the States. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Ontario, being on track to become the next Detroit. And if you guys don't know anything about Detroit, had a great manufacturing environment at some point in time, and that collapsed to what we know uh, it is today. And I gotta say, guys, like we really need to pay attention and prepare ourselves for extremely difficult times ahead. If you've been living a good life so far, you have money in the bank, great. Hold on to that money, try and make more money. If you've been having it difficult and you don't feel like you have a lot of money in the bank, you're gonna have to pull your socks up, tighten those bootstraps, and hit the pavement. Get to it. You're gonna have to do some hard and uncomfortable stuff just to survive. And I can tell you, it's not nice. No one likes to do it. I had to do it. Got to the place where I'm at now. Lo and behold, great. I can survive. I can pay people to do stuff. But not everyone's in that position. But it's looking more and more like people are going to have to prepare themselves for that en masse. So let's get into it. Let's see what's going on with Ontario. On track to become the next Detroit, and I'm like literally downtown Toronto, the heart of the beast. So I see this firsthand. But let's see what some other Canadians are saying.
Is happening in Ontario right now. We've heard about GM. We heard about Stellantis right now. We heard about Windsor, shutting down. The CAMI plant as well has shut down as well. So think about that for a sec, okay? If these companies are shutting down and most of them employ anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 employees, guess what's going to happen?
Michigan's not too far away from Ontario. In fact, the Windsor border crosses right to Michigan and Detroit. And it's interesting because Ontario may actually soon be just like Detroit. There's a lot of auto manufacturing companies leaving Ontario for good, and it's leaving the province of Ontario in a very difficult place. So we're going to react to some videos on this particular subject. And also, before we jump into this here, I noticed that about 70% of you who are watching the channel are not yet subscribed. So if you do find yourself coming back to the channel and watching a bunch of content, please consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. And with that being said, let's dive straight into it.
So we're gonna get into it, but guys, subscribe to Matt's channel. I think I am subscribed. Does this mean I'm subscribed? Okay. Yeah, we're subscribed. But this is how much I know about YouTube. I'm just getting on recording videos for you guys. So we're subscribed to. Make sure you subscribe. I like his content because it's not really like super technical, or it doesn't really have to put you in a position where you have to know about like budgets and stuff. I got a other couple of videos I got to make with guys talking about budgets and forecasts and all that sorts of stuff. Yeah, Canadians love that shit. Matt likes to take the ground floor perspective and show you what Canadians are talking about, on the road, which to me I think is really important because it sort of gives you perspective of like everyday Canadians and what we're doing, what we're trying, how we're trying to figure this out. And this one just came out about 10 minutes ago, so Matt just finished this. Hopefully, I can get some more airtime for him. But it's just so interesting to see because I remember a time, Ontario manufacturing. You get a job in manufacturing, you're doing great. Like growing up, you see older people getting jobs in manufacturing, stuff like that. Now it's almost like I don't even hear or see people in manufacturing anymore. All these plants are closing down. I remember like a decade ago, one of these other auto plants closed down. It was a big deal. Now they're closing down like dropping like flies. So world's changing, guys, and it's important for us to recognize and pay attention to that and gain skills that will allow us to survive, guys. Technology. Go to chatgpt.com right now. Start learning. Let's get into it.
Today.
Breaking news this morning is that Stellantis is shutting down its auto plants in Brampton, Ontario, which is causing a lot of concern for the auto workers in Ontario, where I live, which is a big part of our economy. Let's just be fair. There were statements put out by Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, and Doug Ford. But what I'm going to ask you to do is to look at a statement, a video by someone else, someone you haven't heard about much here in Canada. I'm going to ask you to go look at Shawn Fain. That name might not sound familiar to you, all right? But I've been watching Shawn Fain for a while. He is the leader of the United Auto Workers across the border in America. He's a very clever guy, really smart. And what he's doing in that video, which he posted to social media this morning, is celebrating that Stellantis made this move and taking credit for it. Because what he's saying is our auto workers, the unions down south, work together to influence the Trump administration to, one, put targeted tariffs on auto sectors, and two, get more jobs back for them because they're losing jobs down there. So this was a concerted effort by the unions down south. And this, Sean, to his credit, which, like I said, clever negotiator. He worked very cleverly with both politicians, not just the Trump administration, but also with the Biden administration when Biden was in power. He really knew how to make these moves to make things happen for his workers, which is his job. I mean, he's the head of the union down there, so it makes sense that he would do this. All right. But it indicates to you where this relationship is going. The US and Canada relationship on auto is doomed. If it isn't clear, the writing is on the wall.
This guy is dialed the fuck in. Like, he knows what's going on. And the US has no obligation to make sure that Canadians have jobs. Guys, we don't live in a fairy tale. We live in a difficult world. The US has no responsibility. Look how it's dark outside right now. It's like noon. We live in a difficult world. The US has no responsibility to make sure, and honestly, knowing now that these guys made like some sort of hyper strategic plan to get that company to leave Canada and move to the States where their workers have a easier cost of living. It's difficult in the States, but in Canada, you can't even live. So it's easier to have workers get paid a wage where they can at least live in the States. So for, and this guy's right, you can't blame that guy. He's literally a union boss looking out for Americans. And so he's like a for the people person, but he's for Americans. So you can see how territorial the work environment has become. You can see how competitive it's just to have operations in a vicinity that's going to allow growth based on tariffs, cost of living, stuff like that. The States is playing a very protectionist game right now. We need to pay attention to that. And you don't do well by bucking against someone who's guarding up. You do well by putting your hand around their shoulder and saying, hey, what you're doing is pretty cool. Can I try a little bit? Can I buy some US stocks? Can I learn some AI? That's at least my position, because I want to survive, guys. I want the people around me to survive. So you have to do things in a way, or you have to at least realize people are doing things in a way where they are making sure they survive and their people survive. And if we adopt this type of persona or mentality, it's going to be a little easier to swallow these these momentous amounts of layoffs and closures.
First of all, we have tariffs. Second of all, we have people down south who want their jobs back. They want reshoring. Yeah. They want the jobs back down there. And third, those jobs are doomed already because none of those automakers can compete with the Chinese competition right now. They cannot make cars as cheaply, as productively, and with the unions pressuring them, are the unions going to take a pay cut? How are you going to get an affordable car? If they can negotiate to get the jobs back, they can negotiate better pay, all right? And they already get paid more than anyone making cars in China, right? You have to understand that North America's auto sector is facing doom. It's facing doom to the degree that even Tesla's CEO is giving up on it. In all his earnings calls, all he's talking about is AI and robotics. He isn't even mentioning cars anymore,
right?
Because he sees the writing on the wall that this is a doomed industry. So what we need to do is move on to the cheaper product for the benefit of auto buyers. People who buy cars outnumber the number of people who work in car manufacturing. We need to transition that industry into something else, clean energy, nuclear,
this
maybe
guy's smart.
Building data centers or something.
This guy is so smart, man. my God, if you see this video, guy, you schedule a discovery call with Peak Demand. You think we like thinkers. So he's recognizing that it's not just auto makers in Canada, automakers in China, US, whatever. It's the auto industry, guys. The auto industry is doomed because we're heading into a world where less people are going to be able to afford cars, A, but less people are going to be driving cars, B. We have robots driving cars now. So it's so funny. Everyone's like, "Oh, Tesla, Elon Musk, your Tesla company, it's failing." Da 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 da. It's like Elon doesn't give a shit. He's trying to have. I think he's trying to coordinate like the purchase of Tesla through another one of his AI companies, so it just gets consolidated into his mass empire of tech and space and AI. So he's not even caring so much about that stuff. What he is caring about, though, is the future landscape of the economy, which is namely robotics and artificial intelligence, not so much cars. I don't even think we're going to call them cars at some point. There's going to be like shuttle units that shuttle us around, shuttle humans around like buses, but no one's driving them. I see that in the future. So if you're in the automaking industry, you got to understand like the world is changing at warp speed. No one gives a shit about cars, or at least very few people give a shit about cars. I don't even know. People around me don't even drive anymore. They just Uber. I don't even know people who. I know a couple people who have cars, but most of the time when they have cars, they come downtown, they Uber. It's like driving is becoming a thing of the past now. We're having either someone else driving it for like barely survivable income, or a robot. And I can tell you right now, the people driving for a barely survivable income, they're not going to last too much longer. Let's get serious, guys.
To get more blue collar work where the future is. And the future is not in building cars for America. It might be for building cars for Chinese makers. Maybe in the future we can convince them to make a plant over here. And that would be a more reasonable bet for the future. All right. But keep an eye on this. This is going to be very interesting.
I don't know if I 100% agree with everything he said there, but it is interesting that the CEO of Tesla is now focusing mostly on AI and robotics, because that definitely is an industry that the United States is actually doing well in and leading the charge. But they still have competition from China as well. But China's manufacturing industry is still the dominant industry throughout the whole world right now. They have more manufacturing than anywhere else in the world. So who knows, even though Ontario is losing jobs to the United States, those jobs in the United States could be lost to China at some point in the future. And if you don't realize how bad the auto manufacturing industry is in Canada right now, reports in October 2025 indicate that Ontario's automotive sector is facing a crisis due to significant challenges, including shifts in production by major automakers, ongoing trade disputes, and fierce competition in electric vehicles. While the industry has rebounded from pandemic lows, which it hasn't really rebounded much, recent decisions by manufacturers and the broader geopolitical landscape suggest that Ontario's position as a vehicle assembly hub is at risk. And that is one of the biggest industries in Ontario. Obviously, places like Toronto has a different economy than places like Windsor, but you can't downplay the effects this is going to have on Ontario in general, and also more broadly to Canada.
So he's absolutely right. And I like Matt, because Matt, he's a smart guy. And he takes like very basic stuff that's going on, and he sort of brings it and connects it to what's going on at a bigger level. And it's like he's like your bro, like he's just your bro explaining what's going on in the country. Like, hey man, what's going on? Like, I don't know what's going on, man. Like, what, you sure about what's going on in the country and shit, bro? Like, you got to pay attention. So that's Matt. I like Matt. I mean, hell, Matt, if you if you see me doing reactions to your videos, thanks, man. You're probably responsible for a few subscribers we have. I'll make sure your link is in the description. But it's just imagine Canada's losing its entire real estate industry before our eyes. Like real estate developers, construction people, people who own homes losing money like crazy, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, like developers, billions of dollars. Like, it's insane. We're losing the real estate industry in Canada. To deepen the dagger into our hearts, we're going to lose our manufacturing industry as well. We are losing quintessential cornerstone industries for our countries, guys, for our country in Canada. Why is that happening? Because the powers that be, our international partners, the people who we're supposed to be doing business with, are restructuring how their business models operate because of technology. So unless we start to think like this, we're going to be restructured out of a global market. What contributing markets does Canada currently have to a global economy? Natural resources? No. We literally kibosh every project for natural resources that even gets conceived in Canada. Is it our expertise in any particular area? Hell no. We get brain drained like we're getting a 24/7 lobotomy in this country. Like the highly technical skilled individuals are a rare breed in Canada. I can tell you, it's hard for me to find them, and I'm looking everywhere. But for to see manufacturing and real estate go down the tubes like this, it's like, well, what the hell else does Canada have left? We gotta do better, guys.
What's going on, everybody? So today I just wanted to bring up, my prediction of what's going to happen to Canada very shortly, or Ontario.
Okay.
My prediction is that we're going to be like Detroit soon. Okay, I remember Detroit had the big three. Okay, Ford, GM, and Chrysler. Back then, that economy had made them boom. Everyone lived a lavish, great life. You know what I mean? Until those sectors had, disappeared and left, which made the city into like a dead city. Okay, like poverty central now. So, is happening in Ontario right now. We've heard about GM. We heard about Stellantis right now. We heard about Windsor, shutting down. The CAMI plant as well has shut down as well. So think about that for a sec, okay? If these companies are shutting down and most of them employ anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 employees, guess what's going to happen? There are people out there that's doing these blue collar jobs that's making $20 to $30 an hour. They're going to lose their home, lose their mortgage, whatever the case may be. Families going to be out on the street because where are they going to find a job that could pay them that much anymore? You won't be able to, you know what I mean? Because that's what you've been doing your whole entire life. Now you don't have anything to fall back on. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I feel for a lot of the Canadians, a lot of the Ontario Canadians that's in this situation right now, for the families that, that dad lost their jobs or the mom lost their jobs, you know what I mean? And then now they're thinking EI. All these people are on EI right now, which was taking a burden onto the government system as well. Mind you, they paid into it, obviously, but everything's happening at once, which is going to turn Canada upside down very shortly. So, being said, I just feel bad that, a lot of these families are going to lose their home. It doesn't matter if it's rental or the mortgage payment. Once it's going to happen, I think the bank's going to start foreclosing homes. Also, next thing you know what? Interest might be going up again, because of that for these homes. So get ready, guys. You know what? My only thing I would recommend you guys to do right now is to save everything you got, okay? Only buy what you need and just don't live a lavish lifestyle, because in the end of the day, even when you're short $1, that's still, we're not going to be able to buy anything, okay? Transaction will not go through even if you're short $1. So what I'm saying right now is just save as much money as you can, work hard where you can find a job. If Canada decides to open up all that pipeline in Alberta, if they lead the way, open up all the resources, which could make Canada great again, because if they could sell all that energy to the world, this is the only way we get out of it. There is no business transaction, whatever the case may be, with any other business out there. The auto sector is huge, okay? It pays the bills, and we cannot lose that. And the fact that we are losing that right now is putting a lot of families out on the street very soon. So keep your fingers crossed for these people, obviously, having good faith and hope that, Canada could become a little bit better of a country to live. But man, I feel it for them right now. So that's my message to you guys right now. See you later.
You know what? This guy's got a good heart, but telling people to save their pennies and stuff like that, guys, spend some money on some technology, do some stuff, experiment. You're better off doing that. Saving like 10, 20 bucks here, you're better off spending that $4 or $5 a month on an AI tool you might be able to start a business with. So, and that's our problem in Canada. When things go bad, we just clam up and don't do shit. We need to take risks. Some of us are not going to make it. That's the bottom line. Some of us in this country are simply not going to make it. But for those who do make those efforts and try to take that leap, and you do make it, then you have to bring people along. And you have to make sure they understand how important and lucky it is that they're with you. So, I mean, this guy doesn't sound like he's like the brightest crayon in the box, but the message is coming through. He understands and he can see the writing's on the wall. These industries are going down the tubes. People making $20, $30 an hour Canadian, guys. $20, $30 an hour Canadian is like $15 to $23 American per hour, guys. That is, I don't want to say that's nothing because you could survive on that, but that's not a lot. That's not enough to do anything, guys. We need to start looking at different ways of making money because Canadian employers aren't going to cut it, guys. We have to start looking at international markets, US market, stock market, any market that is connected to the internet, try and figure it out because the markets in Canada are quite literally dying.
Now, it's being demonstrated is that there is a trickle down effect when a lot of people lose these jobs, these high paying jobs, and a lot of them are relatively low skilled jobs, but they pay decently well. Where are these people going to find these jobs when they lose them at these massive auto manufacturing plants, right? And there's an estimated potential $13 billion loss for Canada when Stellantis is going to make its move down to the
Holy
US. So
shit.
you're losing a massive chunk of your economy in Ontario right now with that being done. It's not looking good for the auto sector in Canada, and it's not looking good for the auto sector ultimately in Ontario. Will Ontario become the next Detroit? Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
So that was a great little video for auto people. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's like auto and real estate in this country are just getting eviscerated. I don't what do I put for the title for this one? Auto sector doomed or something like that. Like I don't know what it like it's so bad. We've it's so funny to think that, these companies thought that people are just going to be buying cars forever. Like eventually people just don't want this stuff anymore, guys. Same thing with real estate. You can build all these condos, thousands of dog crate condos right outside my window here. No one wants this stuff, guys. So these companies have to make hard decisions, and that means relocating their entire power plant to somewhere that's cheaper, firing thousands of people. Amazon's trying to get rid of 600,000 employees in the next 5 years. That's insane. So we see across the board, companies are just firing people. In the auto sector, they're even more ruthless. We have union bosses in the States trying to get auto manufacturers out of Canada. Like union bosses are trying to get manufacturers here to come back to the States. So for me, I'm looking at this. I'm like, you cannot rely on these employers for your life, for just your life. Paying for your food, paying for your shelter. Figure out another way to make money online. I can tell you right now, there's infinite ways to do it. The only challenge is to find the path to profitability in as shortest time and as short as investment as possible, and then just scale. So if you guys like this type of content, definitely subscribe to Matt. He's got killer content. I love making reaction videos on him because this guy's a ground floor guy. He gets people. I don't know where he finds these videos, maybe TikTok or something like that. I'm like, where do you guys get all this content from? But I love reacting to it, sharing the story. If you like us breaking it down and watching me garble on about it, you can hit like and subscribe. If you don't like it, hit the dislike, leave us a comment. We're going to be doing a big roundup. Okay, that's raining. Big roundup of the comments at the end of the year, and sort of like a New Year thing. Like, hey, this is what you guys are saying. We're going to try better next year. So we like the comments, good and bad. But yeah, yes, just guys, stay tuned for what's going on. I feel like we're all like backs up against the wall, spines tight, and paying attention because this stuff is affecting everyone. And I really do believe we're watching the transformation of our world in real time before our eyes, and the evolution is slow and it's painful. But with that being said, we trudge on, we endure. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.